Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get you well-informed fast.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're plunging into a topic that's, well, it's everywhere, isn't it? Generative AI. It's transforming headlines, boardrooms.
Absolutely. The buzz is undeniable. But, for organizations, the real question isn't if they should adopt it anymore. It's really about how. How do you move past the hype, the excitement, and actually integrate it to get a real strategic advantage?
Right. Because the challenge, it seems, is translating all that huge potential into the things you can actually measure. Making the business faster, better, smarter.
Without falling into the usual traps. Exactly.
And it's so much more than just the technology. It really gets down to the strategy, the people involved, the processes you have in place.
So our mission today is to give you a kind of shortcut, a strategic blueprint for actually making generative AI work in a business context. We're going to unpack the critical steps you need to take.
We'll look at the real-world impacts, what's actually happening out there, navigate some of those crucial decisions you have to make when implementing, and shine a light on the human side of things, which seems absolutely vital for success.
Yeah, we've sifted through a whole stack of expert analyses, comprehensive guides, really trying to distill the most important nuggets for you. This deep dive should give you the essentials without getting bogged down.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So let's unpack this straight away. There seems to be this strong consensus building that the whole generative AI journey, it isn't about just chasing the newest, shiniest tech toy. It's not about being AI first for the sake of it.
That's spot on.
So for any organization thinking about this, maybe just starting out, what's the absolute very first thing they need to nail down before they even think about models or platforms?
It's fascinating, actually, because the universal first step, it's not technical at all. It's pure strategy. It's having a clear and unambiguous definition of business goals.
Okay, business goals first.
Right. The sources we looked at are really clear on this. The most common failure pattern they see is this technology-first approach. Organizations get excited, they rush to deploy some AI solution.
Without really knowing why.
Exactly, without a clear vision of the value they intend to create. And that just raises a huge question, doesn't it? If you don't know why you're using AI, how on earth can you measure if it's successful?
You can't, really.
You can't. So every single investment that follows your time, your money, your people, it has to be directed towards achieving those specific, measurable business outcomes.
So it's not just a case of, hey, let's get some AI tools and see what happens. It's much deeper. It's what specific business problem are we trying to solve here? Or maybe what new opportunity can this unlock for us?
Precisely. And it's not just about making things a little bit faster or slightly more efficient, though AI can certainly do that.
It's bigger than incremental improvements.
The smarter approach, the sources argue, pushes leaders to think bigger. How can generative AI fundamentally transform business processes or even create entirely new revenue streams?
Okay, like what? Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about a media company. The obvious use case is reading articles faster, right? And GenAI can do that. But the transformative goal might be using GenAI to create personalized content at a massive scale, tailoring news feeds, articles, even video summaries to individual user preferences.
Opening up entirely new markets or audience segments that way.
Exactly. Things that just weren't feasible before. But achieving that requires deep involvement from the business leaders right from the very start, not just the IT department.
They need to define what success looks like.
Yes. Define the expected outcomes and establish quantifiable metrics to gauge success. Your KPIs, your key performance indicators.
And these aren't just an afterthought.
Absolutely not. They're the bedrock. They form the core of your business case. And they need to cover different angles, financial ones like revenue growth or cost savings, operational ones like productivity gains or time save, and customer-centric ones like satisfaction scores or engagement rates.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Set the destination before you start the journey. So once those clear business objectives are locked in, how do organizations actually move from those high-level goals to a concrete plan? Is there a roadmap for this? It feels complex.
There is. Well, there are tools that act like a map. Organizations can lean on two really powerful complementary frameworks to guide them. Think of one as a functional guide, like what activities do we need to focus on, and the other as a developmental diagnostic, where are we right now on this journey?
Okay, tell me about the first one, the What to Do guide.
That's the Gartner AI Roadmap. It details 7 key work streams required to deliver AI at scale. Think of these as the critical areas you need to manage.
7 work streams, like what?
They are AI strategy, AI value, AI organization, AI people and culture, AI governance, AI engineering, and AI data.
Hmm. Okay. AI strategy. We just talked about that importance. What about AI people and culture? That sounds crucial too, given our earlier points.
It's absolutely foundational and often gets less initial focus than, say, AI engineering or data, but it's critical for making AI stick. AI strategy, as we said, defines the why and aligns AI with the business. AI people and culture tackles the human impact, preparing the workforce, maybe redesigning roles, fostering a culture that actually embraces this change, not fights it.
Right, because if people don't adopt it or trust it.
The best tech in the world just sits on the shelf. Neglecting that human element is probably the fastest way to waste a lot of money on AI.
Okay, so Gartner gives us the key areas. What about the second framework, the diagnostic one, the where are we?
That's the 5 stages of AI adoption. This model helps an organization honestly assess its current maturity level and, crucially, understand the common challenges or gaps that typically block progress to the next stage.
So it tells you what hurdles to expect.
Pretty much. For instance, stage one is becoming aware. Initial interest, maybe some articles being shared. The big challenge there is after the 0 to 1 gap, a fundamental lack of buy-in from leadership or employees. Just getting started is tough.
And if you get past that,
Stage two is experimenting. Maybe a few enthusiastic individuals or teams are trying out some AI tools, but the main hurdle here is often the literacy gap.
literacy gap, meaning people just don't understand AI broadly.
Exactly. There's a lack of broad understanding across the organization about what AI is, what it can do, its limitations. So experiments stay isolated. The model goes on through optimizing, standardizing, and finally transforming, each with its own typical gap, like technology gaps or systems gaps. It helps pinpoint where you're getting stuck.
Okay, that combination sounds powerful. The 5 stages tells you where you are and what's holding you back, and the Gartner roadmap shows you the functional areas you need to work on. But with 7 Gartner work streams, how does an organization avoid trying to boil the ocean? How do they make actual, faster, better, smarter progress?
Yeah, that's a really important question. You absolutely cannot tackle all 7 Gartner work streams effectively at the same time. That would dilute resources and inevitably lead to failure.
So focus is key.
Total focus. The smarter path is described as a targeted, iterative cycle of diagnosis and action. First, use the 5 stages model to get a really honest assessment of where you are right now.
Okay, diagnose. Let's use your earlier example. Say we're stuck in awareness because leadership is skeptical that 0 to 1 gap.
Right, so you've diagnosed the problem, lack of buy-in. Now, you prioritize. Based on that specific diagnosis, you identify the 233 most critical Gartner work streams that directly address that gap.
So in the skepticism example, you wouldn't jump into AI engineering.
Definitely not. Your priority would be, say, AI strategy, to build a really compelling data-backed business case that addresses leadership's concerns. And AI people and culture to educate leadership, demonstrate potential value, and start building that crucial buy-in and trust. It's about surgical precision, focusing your limited resources where they'll have the most impact on unlocking that next level of maturity.
Makes sense. Diagnose, prioritize the right work streams for that stage, then execute. And I'm guessing starting small is part of that execution. Pilot projects.
Absolutely critical. The execution phase needs a concrete roadmap, yes, but it should crucially start with a limited number of high-impact pilot projects or proofs of concept, POCs.
Why pilots?
They do 2 really important things. One, they let you test the technology and the process in a controlled, lower-risk environment. 2, and maybe even more importantly, they help you generate early wins.
Success stories you can share.
Exactly. You showcase these early wins to build confidence across the organization, generate momentum, and start overcoming that initial resistance or skepticism we talked about. It proves the concept in your specific context.
And it sounds like trying to run before you can walk is a bad idea.
Definitely. The sources emphasize that the feasibility of executing the Gartner work streams is causally linked to the organization's maturity stage. Trying to, say, build a whole portfolio of AI products, part of the AI value workstream, when you haven't even overcome basic literacy gaps about what AI is. That's just destined for failure. It's about taking those focused, logical steps forward based on where you truly are.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. We've talked strategy, we've talked frameworks, but what does generative AI actually do in the real world? Can you show us the receipts? What's the tangible impact it's already having?
Absolutely. And the evidence is pretty widespread now. It's not just theory. One source mentioned 66% of CEOs reporting measurable business benefits from their GenAI initiatives already. This isn't some far-off potential. It's concrete, quantifiable impact happening right now.
Okay, so where are we seeing the biggest impact? The sources highlighted customer service as a top priority for CEOs. Let's start there.
Yeah, it's shot up to become the #1 generative AI priority for CEOs, and
Hmm.
it's pretty clear why. It offers this dual benefit of directly enhancing customer satisfaction while at the same time significantly reducing operational costs.
How specifically is it doing that, beyond just basic chatbots?
We're talking sophisticated chatbots and virtual agents that are revolutionizing contact centers. These aren't your old clunky bots. They understand natural language nuance, provide 24/7 context-aware responses. They can even do things like draft follow-up emails for human agents, summarize really complex support tickets instantly, and even proactively create knowledge-based articles based on common queries to improve customer self-service.
So they're augmenting the human agents, not just replacing them.
In many cases, yes, augmenting and handling the more routine queries. There are some fantastic examples. Take Marker Study Group, a UK insurance provider. They implemented an Azure OpenAI app specifically for summarizing calls.
Okay.
It saves their claim handlers roughly 4 minutes per call. That sounds small, maybe, but it adds up. They estimate it saves 56,000 hours annually.
Wow, 56,000 hours. That's huge. That's freeing up agents for the really complex, empathetic stuff, I imagine.
Precisely. Another example. Standard Bank of South Africa deployed an internal IT help desk bot. It apparently resolves 99% of all employee queries without needing any human intervention. Think about the internal efficiency gains there.
Incredible. So that's the reactive support side. What about proactive customer engagement?
Yeah, AI is also a powerhouse for personalization. By analyzing huge amounts of data, customer behavior, past purchases, preferences, AI can deliver truly tailored experiences at scale. Things like real-time product recommendations that are actually relevant, website content that dynamically changes based on who's visiting.
Like that fashion retailer example, ASOS.
Exactly. ASOS uses an AI-powered conversational interface. It doesn't just answer questions, it helps curate product selections based on your style, the occasion, current trends. The result, higher conversions, fewer returns because people buy things they actually like, and increased customer loyalty. It builds that relationship.
Makes perfect sense for boosting the top line and customer stickiness.
Yeah.
Where else is GenAI acting as this force multiplier you mentioned?
Right.
Marketing and sales comes to mind.
Definitely a huge area. GenAI is automating a ton of the creative and administrative work there. Think about content generation. Tools like Jasper, ChatGPT, and others can churn out high volumes of marketing copy, email campaigns, blog posts, social media updates.
In a fraction of the time it takes a human.
Exactly, in a fraction of the time. And they can optimize it for SEO as they go. We're seeing big brands jump in. Heinz used OpenAI's DAE for generating novel images for campaigns. Nestle reported a massive 70% reduction in content creation costs using their own internal AI service.
70%.
Yeah.
The cost savings are really adding up across these examples. What about the sales side, helping salespeople?
Yeah, AI acts like a superpowered sales assistant. It automates administrative tasks that eat up so much time, summarizing meeting notes, drafting follow-up emails. Lumen Technologies, for instance, uses Microsoft Copilot for this. They found it reduced a task that used to take 4 hours down to just 15 minutes.
4 hours to 15.
Yeah. They're projecting $50 million in annual savings from productivity gains like that. Plus, AI can help identify high-potential leads based on data patterns and even suggest personalized outreach strategies.
Okay, so marketing, sales.
Yeah.
What about the core product itself? Product development, engineering. Is it speeding things up there too?
Absolutely. The impact goes deep into the technical functions, really accelerating innovation cycles. Software development is a prime example. Tools like GitHub Copilot are fundamentally changing how developers work.
How so? It writes code for them.
It does. It writes code, helps update and maintain existing code, suggests completions as you type, automates debugging tasks, even generates documentation. It's like having an expert pair programmer available 24/7.
That was boost productivity significantly.
Hugely. Allpay, a financial services firm, saw a 10% increase in developer productivity and, maybe more importantly, boosted their actual code delivery volume by 25%. They're shipping features faster.
And it's not just digital products, right? Physical products too. Generative design.
Right. In manufacturing and engineering, generative design algorithms can explore literally thousands of design possibilities for a physical part, optimizing for factors like weight, strength, material usage. Things a human designer just couldn't explore manually in the same time frame. General Motors is using this to design innovative vehicle parts that are lighter, stronger, and potentially cheaper to produce.
Fascinating. So from customer calls to code to car parts, where else is it making waves? Core business functions, back office stuff.
That's maybe where the broadest impact lies, streamlining those core operations and just generally augmenting employee productivity across the whole enterprise.
The everyday tasks.
Exactly. The most universal use case is automating those repetitive, often tedious tasks that employees dislike anyway. Summarizing long documents or meetings, drafting routine reports, extracting key information from contracts. By handing that off to AI, you free up employees for more complex, creative, and strategic work.
Which boosts efficiency and probably makes jobs more interesting.
Definitely boosts job satisfaction, according to the sources. We saw EchoStar's Hughes division leveraging Azure AI Foundry. They built 12 new production apps for things like sales call auditing and technical troubleshooting, the projection, saving 35,000 work hours annually and boosting productivity by at least 25%.
35,000 hours.
Yeah.
It's consistently these big numbers.
It really is. Tüpraş, a Turkish energy company, estimates their employees save more than an hour each day just using Microsoft 365 Copilot for common tasks like summarizing meetings and drafting reports. Think about that scaled across a large organization.
That's massive. What about specific industries like finance or healthcare again?
In financial services, AI is analyzing market trends, generating complex reports, automating forecasting, and identifying subtle patterns that might indicate fraud or risk. Goldman Sachs deployed an internal GenAI assistant to help bankers, asset managers, and traders summarize dense documents and even translate code between different systems.
And healthcare, you mentioned drug discovery earlier. Any other examples?
Beyond drug discovery, which is huge, AI is helping with patient care documentation. Accenture created a tool called MedScribe. It uses AI to automate the clinical documentation process during patient visits. The result? They saved 11,000 nursing hours and nearly $800,000 in just 1 year. It lets nurses focus more on the patient, less on the paperwork.
So summing this all up, what does this all mean? It really feels like the impact is undeniable. From saving thousands of hours in insurance or energy to helping create new drugs to making developers more productive, it's not just hype.
Exactly. The quantifiable impact is there. It shows generative AI isn't just some future promise. It's a present-day reality, delivering very real, tangible value across an incredibly wide range of industries and job functions.
Okay, the use cases are compelling, the impact is clear. So the next big question for an organization is, how do we actually get these capabilities? How do we bring GenAI into our operations? It feels like there isn't just one single answer here.
You're absolutely right. This really brings up a crucial point about strategic alignment. Once you've defined your goals, you've identified those high-value use cases, leaders then have to choose an implementation pathway.
Pathway, you mean like build it ourselves, buy something off the shelf?
Exactly. Do you build a custom solution from scratch? Do you buy an existing off-the-shelf product that has AI built in? Or do you integrate using APIs from AI providers? Making the smarter decision here means carefully weighing the trade-offs of each path against your own unique situation, your resources, your risk tolerance, your competitive goals.
Okay, let's break those down. Can you walk us through the three main pathways? Let's start with buying off-the-shelf SaaS solutions.
Right. Pathway 1 is off-the-shelf SaaS. This means adopting existing software products that already have generative AI features embedded. Think AI-powered CRMs, marketing automation tools like Jasper we mentioned, things like that.
What are the pros and cons there? Speed seems like a big pro.
Speed is the biggest advantage. It offers the quickest time to value, often just days or weeks to get started, and the low upfront costs are attractive. It's ideal for quickly deploying something, maybe testing an idea, or for functions that aren't core differentiators where speed and simplicity matter most.
But the downside? Less control.
That's the main trade-off. You have limited customization. You often have to adapt your business processes to the software rather than the other way around. And a big one. Data security and privacy are vendor managed. You're relying on their security practices, which might be a significant risk depending on your data sensitivity.
Okay, so fast and easy, but less tailored, and you hand over some control. What's the complete opposite end? Building it all yourself.
Exactly. Pathway 2 is custom development. This is where you build a completely proprietary generative AI solution from the ground up. This might involve training your own models or significantly fine-tuning existing ones on your company's private data.
Sounds like a lot more work. What are the benefits?
The benefits are significant. But so is the effort. You get the ultimate level of control, customization, and security. You can tailor it perfectly to your unique workflows and data. It allows you to create a truly unique capability, potentially a powerful competitive differentiator, and crucially, the intellectual property belongs to you. This is often essential for large companies, especially in highly regulated industries like healthcare or finance, where data residency and control are paramount.
But the downsides must be pretty big, too.
Oh, yeah, it's by far the most resource-intensive option. It requires a significant upfront investment in terms of money, time, and talent. The development timeline is long, often 6 to 18 months or even more. And you need deep in-house expertise. Data scientists, AI engineers, MLO specialists, it's a major commitment.
So high effort, potentially high reward, especially if it's core to your business or you're heavily regulated. That leaves the middle ground you hinted at earlier.
Right. Pathway 3 is API-based integration. This is often seen as the smarter route for many. Here, you leverage application programming interfaces, APIs, from foundation model providers. Think OpenAI's GPT models, Google's Gemini, AWS Bedrock, Anthropic's Claude, and so on.
So you're using their powerful models, but building your own application on top.
Precisely. You build your custom applications, your user interfaces, your workflows, but you call out to these pre-trained state-of-the-art models via their APIs to handle the core AI generation tasks. It's a strategic middle ground.
What makes it strategic? The balance.
It balances speed and customization really well. Your implementation time is much faster than a full custom build, weeks or months, not years, but you still retain significant control over the application logic, the user experience, and how it integrates with your existing systems. You avoid the massive cost and time of training a huge foundation model from scratch.
Are there downsides to the API route? Security, maybe.
That's the main consideration. Your data, or at least the prompts containing potentially sensitive information, gets sent to a third-party API provider. So it requires a shared responsibility model for security. You need robust contracts, data processing agreements, and potentially technical controls like data masking or filtering before sending prompts to the API to ensure your data is protected according to your standards.
Okay, so build, buy, or integrate via API. 3 distinct paths. How does a leader actually choose? It feels like the right answer depends heavily on the situation.
It absolutely does. What's fascinating, and the sources really drive this home, is that there's no single best pathway. It's always about aligning the choice with your specific strategic priorities, your tolerance for risk, and the resources, time, money, people you actually have available.
Is there a framework to help weigh these?
Yes, the sources often refer to using a detailed decision matrix. This forces you to compare the options systematically across key factors, not just implementation speed and initial cost, but also total cost of ownership, TCO, over time, the degree of customization and control you need, scalability requirements, data security and privacy implications, and the required in-house expertise.
So it pushes you beyond just the sticker price.
Exactly. It compels a more holistic evaluation. And thinking through this matrix often leads organizations away from a one-size-fits-all decision.
Meaning they might use different approaches for different things?
Precisely. It often results in a nuanced portfolio-based approach. Maybe you use an off-the-shelf SaaS tool for streamlining HR processes where speed and simplicity are key. Then you might use an API-based solution to power a new customer-facing chatbot, balancing customization with a faster time to market. And simultaneously, you could be planning a long-term, full custom build for a core R&D function that represents your unique competitive advantage and requires maximum control.
Right, using the right tool for the right job across the organization. Okay, so let's say a company chooses the API or the custom path. That means they're dealing directly with AI models. The technical decisions get even more specific then, right? What's the next layer?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, once you've chosen a pathway that involves selecting or building models, 2 critical technical areas immediately come into focus. First, selecting the right foundation model for your needs. And second, choosing the appropriate architectural patterns for integrating that model into your systems.
Okay, model selection first. What goes into that? Isn't it just picking the biggest or most famous one?
Not at all. That's a common mistake. You need a more nuanced evaluation. Key criteria include problem fit and performance. Is this model actually good at the specific task you need it for? A model great at creative writing might be terrible at summarizing financial reports. You need to evaluate the quality and accuracy of generated outputs, consistency of results, and ability to generalize.
What else besides performance?
Scalability, resources, and cost are huge. What computational resources does it need? GPUs. Memory. What's the infrastructure cost for hosting and running it, inference? What's the pricing model per token, per API call? Then there's security and trust. This is critical. Is the model hosted securely? Is it robust against things like prompt injection attacks? And, very importantly, was it trained on ethically sourced and properly licensed data? You don't want to inherit IP infringement or data privacy problems.
Right, avoiding legal and ethical headaches.
Yes, development and integration complexity. How easy is it to actually integrate this model? Are there good tools and libraries available, like from Hugging Face? Is it compatible with your existing tech stack?
Okay, so you've carefully chosen your model. Now, how do you actually wire it into your applications? You mentioned integration patterns. What are those?
System integration patterns are basically standardized, reusable blueprints or architectural approaches for connecting the AI model to your applications and your data in a robust and scalable way. They define the logical flow of information.
Can you give an example of a common or powerful pattern?
One of the most powerful and widely discussed patterns right now, especially for applications needing factual, up-to-date answers, is retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
RAG. Okay, what does that do?
Instead of relying only on the knowledge baked into the AI model during its training, which might be months or years old and won't include your private company data, a RAG system works differently. When a user asks a question, the system first retrieves relevant, up-to-date information from a specific, trusted knowledge base, like your company's internal documents, product manuals, or databases.
Ah, it looks up the answer first.
Kind of. It finds relevant snippets of information. Then it passes that retrieved information along with the original question to the AI model as context. It essentially says, based on this specific current information I just found, answer this question.
That sounds incredibly useful for business applications. It makes the AI's answers more factual and relevant to the company's own context.
Exactly. It grounds the model's response in factual, proprietary data. This significantly reduces the chances of the AI hallucinating, making up plausible but incorrect information, and vastly improves the relevance and trustworthiness of the answers. It's a game changer for using AI with internal knowledge.
Are there other patterns?
Yes, there are patterns for things like batch processing, where you send large amounts of data to the AI for tasks that don't need real-time answers, like extracting key metadata from thousands of contracts or summarizing long research reports overnight. And there's also this fascinating emerging and transformative trend called generative integration.
Generative integration.
Yeah.
AI helping with the integration itself.
Precisely. This is where AI models are used to accelerate the process of connecting systems. The AI can understand the intent. I need data from system A transformed and sent to system B, and then automatically generate the components needed to make that happen, like complex SQL queries, data field mappings, or even entire API connectors.
Wow, so the AI helps build the pipes, connecting everything together.
Exactly. It starts to blur the lines between build and buy because the act of building the integration is becoming automated and significantly faster thanks to AI.
That's mind-blowing. So thinking back to those pathways, the API route combined with something like RAG, it feels like more than just a compromise. It's almost like a strategic bridge. It lets companies start smarter, maybe learn faster, gather real data on how AI works in their context.
And potentially de-risk a future move towards more advanced fine-tuning or even a full custom build later on if the business case proves out. It allows for a phased, data-driven evolution rather than making one huge high-stakes bet up front. It can often lead to lower long-term costs, too.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Strategy, tech, use cases, implementation choices. But what about the people? We touched on it earlier, but it feels like even the most brilliant technology, the perfect implementation path, it could all fall flat if the workforce isn't ready or isn't willing, right?
You are absolutely spot on. This is arguably one of the most critical factors and sometimes the most overlooked. The smarter way to implement recognizes that technology is only half of the equation. Sustainable success with generative AI at its core is a human endeavor.
And ignoring that.
Ignoring the human-centric aspects, things like adoption, training, managing the change well, that is the fastest path to ensuring an expensive technology investment fails to deliver its promised value. It just won't get used effectively, or maybe even at all. This brings us squarely into the realm of AI change management.
AI change management, it's not just regular change management.
It has its unique nuances because AI can feel more disruptive, more Unknown. AI integration fundamentally changes workflows, it can shift responsibilities, it impacts decision-making. It really demands a deliberate and structured change management strategy. And the data backs this up. Research shows that enterprises which formally integrate change management into their tech projects are 47% more likely to meet their objectives.
Nearly 50% more likely. Okay, so what does good AI change management look like? Getting buy-in seems crucial. How do you tackle that, especially when there might be fear or resistance?
It starts with securing genuine buy-in, not just compliance, from both senior leadership and the employees who will be interacting with the AI day to day. This takes real effort. You need to actively demystify AI, translate the technical jargon into business impact.
Show them what's in it for them.
Exactly. Articulate clearly how it benefits the organization overall, but just as importantly, how it will enhance specific roles. Frame it as automating the mundane, freeing up time for more interesting strategic work, making their jobs better, not just different or obsolete.
But what about that inevitable resistance? People worrying about their jobs or just being skeptical?
Resistance is natural. It's human. It often comes from that fear of the unknown or genuine concerns about job security. A smarter change management approach, the sources suggest, does not seek to suppress this resistance, but to engage with it.
Engage with the skeptics.
By treating non-adopters and skeptics as a valuable source of insight, listen to their concerns seriously. They might be flagging real risks, usability problems, or ethical blind spots that the early enthusiasts might have missed. By genuinely addressing these concerns, you not only improve the implementation, but you can sometimes transform those skeptics into your most credible advocates because they've seen their concerns heard and dealt with.
That's a powerful shift in perspective, seeing resistance as data. Beyond addressing resistance, how do you build a broader culture that actually embraces AI innovation, not just tolerates it?
Yeah, top-down mandates saying use this AI tool are rarely enough for deep adoption. You need to cultivate a culture that actively encourages and rewards bottom-up innovation with AI.
How do you do that?
A key element is creating a safe environment for experimentation. Let employees try out sanctioned AI tools, make mistakes, learn without fear of repercussions, maybe set up sandbox environments. Another really effective tactic is to identify and empower super users or change agents.
Internal champions.
Exactly. People within different teams who are naturally enthusiastic about AI's potential. Give them early access, extra training, and support them to lead small pilot projects within their teams, share best practices, offer peer-to-peer help. This kind of organic, peer-led adoption is often much more effective and sustainable than purely top-down directives.
That makes a lot of sense. But you mentioned earlier this huge risk identified in the sources, the growing gap between technology deployment and workforce readiness. There's a startling statistic. Only 49% of HR leaders are prioritizing AI training, even while 93% of companies plan to increase their AI investments. What happens when you have that kind of disconnect?
That disconnect is a recipe for failure. It leads directly to the underutilization of expensive tools, people sticking to old, inefficient processes because they don't know how or why to use the new ones, and ultimately failed implementations. The huge promise of AI often goes unrealized, not because the technology is flawed, but because the people expected to use it are not equipped to do so.
So it comes down to literacy. But what does AI literacy really mean in this context? Is it about everyone becoming a coder?
Not at all. That's a common misconception. AI literacy, as the sources define it, goes way beyond just basic technical skills. It's described as a composite skill.
Composite, meaning it has multiple parts.
Yes. It includes, first, a foundational understanding of what AI can and, just as importantly, cannot do, its capabilities and limitations. Second, the ability to critically evaluate AI outputs, checking for accuracy, looking out for potential bias. Third, knowing how to use AI responsibly and ethically within a business context, following company policies.
So it's not just knowing how to click the buttons in an AI tool.
No. An AI-literate employee knows how to use the tool, yes, but also when it's appropriate to use it, when its output should be questioned or verified, and how to integrate it effectively and safely into their actual workflow to achieve a better outcome. It's critical thinking applied to AI.
Okay, that's a much broader definition. How does an organization actually build that kind of literacy across the entire enterprise? Can't be a single training session, surely.
Absolutely not. A one-size-fits-all, check-the-box training approach is pretty much guaranteed to be ineffective. What's needed is a more structured, multi-layered training program tailored to the diverse needs of the workforce.
Multi-layered, like what?
It starts with foundational training for absolutely everyone. Basic AI concepts, key terminology so everyone's speaking the same language, Ethical guidelines, security policies, acceptable use rules, just leveling the playing field.
Okay, basics for all. Then what?
Then you need role-specific training. This is crucial. Customized sessions designed for different departments or functions: marketing, finance, legal, HR, developers, customer service agents, focusing on how they will use specific AI tools in their daily work with relevant examples and use cases.
Making it practical and job relevant.
Exactly. And theory isn't enough. You need hands-on learning. Provide those safe sandbox environments we talked about for experimentation. Offer practical workshops, maybe simulations. Let people learn by doing.
And since AI changes so fast, it needs to be ongoing.
It absolutely has to be. Continuous learning and collaboration is the final layer. AI evolves incredibly quickly, so organizations need to foster ongoing learning through things like internal communities of practice, where people can share tips and tricks, maybe mentorship programs connecting experts with novices, and regularly updated training materials and resources.
That sounds comprehensive. You also mentioned earlier that AI literacy is actually a critical part of security and governance. Can you expand on that connection? How does training people help protect the company?
It's a crucial link. AI literacy is a critical component of an organization's security and governance posture. Why? Because untrained employees, even with good intentions, are far more likely to use unvetted public shadow AI tools they find online.
Like just pasting company data into a free public chatbot.
Exactly. They might not realize the risks, inadvertently exposing sensitive company data or intellectual property. A properly trained employee who understands the company's policies and the risks involved knows to use only the sanctioned, secure enterprise tools provided.
So it helps prevent data leaks. What else?
A literate workforce is also your first line of defense against bad outputs. They are better equipped to identify and flag the biased or inaccurate outputs, hallucinations, that AI models can and do produce. This prevents individuals and the company from making poor business decisions based on flawed AI-generated information. They know when to trust it and when to question it.
So really what this all means is investing in your people and building this human-centric organization and creating real AI literacy. It's not just a nice to have, it directly translates to better ROI, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It fosters a culture of trust and transparency around AI. It leads to more proactive, bottom-up innovation because people feel empowered, not threatened. It helps discover new, high-value AI applications you might not have even planned for initially, and it acts as a critical risk mitigation strategy. It's about building that human firewall and enabling people to harness AI effectively and responsibly.
Okay, fantastic. We've got the strategy aligned, we've seen the compelling use cases, we understand the implementation pathways, and we know how vital the people part, the change management and literacy is. Now, the bottom line question, how do we know if all this effort, all this investment is actually paying off? How do we measure the value of generative AI?
Right. If we connect this back to the very beginning, for these GenAI initiatives to be sustainable long-term, they absolutely must demonstrate tangible value. And measuring that value effectively requires a sophisticated approach that goes beyond just simple financial math. It needs to capture the full spectrum of impact. A smarter organization builds what the sources call a comprehensive value realization engine.
A value realization engine. Sounds serious. Where does that engine start? I assume the basic return on investment calculation is in there somewhere.
It is. That's the foundational starting point. The standard ROI calculation gives you that clear, high-level financial justification. You know the formula. ROI, total benefits, total costs, then multiply by 100 to get a percentage.
Simple enough. Project costs $400K, brings in $600K benefits. ROI is 50%.
Exactly. But the key here, the smarter application of this, requires really rigorous accounting on both sides of that equation. Meaning you need to capture the total cost of ownership, TCO. That's not just the initial software license or development costs. It includes infrastructure, cloud compute costs, data preparation, model training or fine-tuning if you're doing that, employee training, the cost of change management, ongoing maintenance and support, governance activities, compliance efforts. It all adds up.
You can capture all the costs. And on the benefit side,
Similarly, you need to quantify the total benefits. That includes the direct financial gains, like cost reductions from automation or direct revenue growth from AI-powered sales. But crucially, it also means incorporating the value of the indirect and strategic benefits. Things like improved decision-making, faster time to market, enhanced customer loyalty. These are often harder to put a precise dollar figure on, but they are frequently the most significant long-term benefits.
right, ROI gives us that snapshot, that overall financial health check. but like you said, it doesn't tell us why something is working or not working, or where the problems might be if the ROI isn't looking good. How do we get that deeper diagnostic insight?
This raises that important question again. To truly understand and actively manage the performance of your AI initiatives, you need more than just ROI. A multi-layered KPI dashboard becomes essential. Think of it like a balanced scorecard specifically for AI.
Multi-layered KPIs. How does that work?
It works by connecting different types of metrics together, creating a clear causal chain from the underlying technology performance right up to the ultimate business impact. The sources suggest a useful four-tiered framework for organizing these generative AI KPIs.
Okay, 4 tiers. Can you walk us through them? How do they link together?
Sure, it starts at the bottom with Tier 1, model and system quality. These are your core technical performance metrics, things like the accuracy, precision, recall, or F1 score of the model's outputs. Also, technical aspects like system uptime, error rate, model latency, how fast it responds, request throughput. If these are poor, everything else will suffer.
Okay, technical foundations first. What's tier 2?
Tier 2, user adoption and experience. This measures how people are actually interacting with the AI. Are they using it? How often? For how long? KPIs here include adoption rate, percent of target users actually using it, frequency of use, session length, maybe even things like thumbs up, down feedback clicks, or standard customer satisfaction, CSAT, or net promoter score, NPS if it's customer facing.
So is it working technically, and are people using it and liking it? Makes sense. Tier 3.
Tier 3, operational efficiency. Now we're looking at the direct impact on business processes. KPIs here measure things like average handle time, AHT reduction in a call center, overall process completion time improvements, quantifiable time saved per task for employees, reductions in error and corruption rates, or the call check containment rate, how many queries the AI fully resolves without human help. Also maybe the automation rate or the human in the loop, HITL rate, how often a human needs to intervene.
Okay, measuring the direct process improvements.
Yeah.
And then the top tier, tier 4, must link back to those original business goals.
Exactly. Tier 4, business value. This is where you track the ultimate financial and strategic impact. KPIs here are things like actual cost savings calculated from the Tier 3 metrics, like reduced AHT, measured revenue growth attributed to AI like higher conversion rates, maybe return on ad spend, ROAS if it's a marketing AI, the project's payback period, reduction in time to market for new products, or even impacts on employee or customer churn reduction.
I can see how that framework becomes a diagnostic tool. If a top-level business value KPI is lagging,
you can trace it back down the chain, exactly. If your cost savings in customer support, Tier 4, is lower than expected, you look at Tier 3. Is the call containment rate too low? If yes, why? Look at Tier 2. Is it because user adoption is poor or agents aren't using it? Why? Look at Tier 1. Maybe the model latency is too high, making it frustrating to use, or the accuracy is poor, so agents don't trust it. It gives you a data-driven path to find and fix the root cause.
that's really powerful. But what about those benefits that are even harder to quantify? We talked about innovation, employee morale,
Yes.
things that don't fit neatly into those tiers maybe. How do smarter organizations account for those?
That's a great point. And what's fascinating here is that many of generative AI's most profound game-changing benefits are strategic and intangible. Things like enhanced organizational innovation, genuinely improved quality of strategic decision-making, creating a more engaged and satisfied workforce, strengthening your brand reputation as an innovator. These are hugely valuable.
But hard to put a dollar value on directly.
Very hard. So a smarter measurement framework acknowledges their importance and seeks to quantify them indirectly using proxy metrics.
Proxy metrics, like indicators.
Exactly. You can't directly measure innovation, perhaps, but you can track related indicators like the number of new product features launched per quarter or the reduction in R&D cycle time. If those are improving significantly after implementing AI in R&D, it's a strong proxy for increased innovation.
Okay, and for employee experience.
You could use metrics like employee satisfaction scores, ESS, from surveys, or track voluntary employee turnover rates in departments heavily using AI. If satisfaction goes up and turnover goes down, it suggests the AI is having a positive impact on their experience. By identifying and consistently tracking these relevant proxies, organizations can build a much more complete, compelling story about the total value AI is generating, capturing the full picture beyond just the easily quantifiable stuff.
Got it. So measure what you can directly, find smart proxies for the rest, and use a tiered framework to connect it all. Okay, as AI gets deeper integrated, touching more data, influencing more decisions, the stakes get higher. risks increase? What guardrails, what governance needs to be in place to make sure this is all done safely, ethically, responsibly?
This is absolutely critical. If we connect this to the bigger picture, especially in the age of generative AI, where models can create content and influence decisions in new ways, governance is not a bureaucratic obstacle to be overcome. It is a strategic enabler of trust.
An enabler, not a blocker. That's an interesting way to put it.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because robust guardrails, clear policies, strong oversight, they don't actually inhibit progress. Done right, they accelerate the safe, ethical, and effective adoption of AI. They give people the confidence to innovate within known boundaries. Building this comprehensive trust architecture is seen as a non-negotiable prerequisite for mitigating potentially huge financial, legal, and reputational risks. It's about earning and keeping the trust of your customers, your employees, regulators, everyone.
So where does an organization even start building this trust architecture? What's the first step in governance?
It usually starts with structure and clear responsibility. The recommended first step is forming a cross-functional AI governance committee, or perhaps a dedicated center of excellence, COE.
Cross-functional meaning.
Meaning it needs representatives from across the business.
Yeah.
Definitely legal, compliance, IT and security, data science, but also key business units that are using or plan to use AI. You need all those perspectives.
And what's their job? What's the mandate of this committee or COE?
Their core role is to develop, implement, and then continually oversee the organization's AI policies and procedures. They need to ensure these policies align not just with external laws and frameworks like the widely referenced NIST AI Risk Management Framework, AI RMF, but also with the company's own internal values and ethical principles. They assess risks of new AI initiatives, establish required training standards, create processes for incident response if something goes wrong. They're the central coordinating body for responsible AI.
Okay, so establish the governing body. What are the key pillars or domains that this governance framework absolutely must cover?
There are several critical pillars. First, and maybe most foundational, is data governance and privacy. We keep coming back to data because data is the lifeblood of generative AI. Its governance is absolutely fundamental to the whole trust architecture.
Because bad data leads to bad AI.
Exactly. A poor data quality, often stemming from siloed, inconsistent sources, inevitably leads to inaccurate, biased, and untrustworthy AI outputs. So, investing time and resources in strong data governance cleaning, organizing, securing your data is a direct investment in the performance, reliability, and value of your AI systems.
What does good data governance look like in practice for AI?
Key technical practices include things like having a comprehensive data catalog so you actually know what data you have, where it is, what it means, and its quality level. Implementing federated access control so data owners can manage permissions appropriately. Balancing accessibility with security. Crucially, having processes to protect sensitive data, identifying and treating personally identifiable information, PII, or other sensitive data through techniques like masking, tokenization, or redaction before it ever gets used for AI model training, or even just in prompts sent to an API.
And preventing leaks.
Yes, robust data loss prevention, DLP, tools and policies are essential to monitor how data flows into and out of AI systems, alerting on risky activities, and applying controls to prevent accidental or malicious leakage of sensitive or proprietary information.
Okay, data governance is pillar one. What else is critical? Security, obviously.
Absolutely. Security AI systems introduce new potential attack surfaces. So a proactive security posture is vital. This means rigorous vetting of any third-party AI vendors or even open-source models you might use, checking their security policies, their data handling practices.
This things first.
Always. Testing new AI tools or models in a secure sandbox environment before deploying them more broadly is crucial. And applying a zero-trust security approach to all AI workflows is recommended. That means not automatically trusting any connection, using granular role-based access controls, RBAC, and continuous authentication.
Makes sense. What about the fairness issue? Models inheriting bias.
That's the next critical pillar, fairness and bias mitigation. Generative AI models, trained on vast internet-scale data sets, can inherit and amplify the societal biases present in that data. This can lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes in areas like hiring, loan applications, or even just the tone of generated text. Mitigation is an ongoing process.
How do you mitigate bias?
It involves several things. Actively trying to use diverse and representative training data where possible, although that's hard with huge foundation models. More practically, conducting regular fairness assessments and audits of the model's outputs in your specific use case, and, very importantly, involving diverse stakeholders, people from different backgrounds, roles, not just the technical teams in the development and evaluation process, to catch biases that a homogeneous team might miss.
Okay, fairness is key. What about the black box problem? Not knowing how the AI reached a decision.
That falls under the pillar of transparency and accountability. Many advanced AI models are effectively black boxes. You can't easily see the step-by-step reasoning. To counter the trust issues this creates, organizations need to commit to transparency where possible. Simple things help. Clearly labeling when a user is interacting with an AI system versus a human. Being upfront and honest about the AI's capabilities and its limitations, don't oversell it. From an accountability perspective, you need to establish clear ownership for each AI system, who is responsible if it goes wrong. You also need detailed audit trails, logging AI decisions, and the key factors influencing them where feasible. And finally, providing clear feedback mechanisms for users to report problems, flag concerns, or even challenge an AI's output or decision.
Right, giving users recourse. So pulling this all together, governance isn't just about compliance or ticking boxes.
Not at all. Proactive, thoughtful governance isn't a cost center dragging you down. It's actually a strategic investment. It's an investment in building a resilient and trustworthy brand. That trust wins customer loyalty, it attracts top talent who want to work ethically, and it helps you navigate the complex and rapidly evolving regulatory landscape around AI much more effectively. It's truly foundational for long-term sustainable success.
Okay, foundational. Got it. All right, for our final deep dive today, let's shift our gaze forward. The AI landscape is changing so incredibly fast. How can organizations possibly future-proof their AI strategies? How do they plan when the ground seems to be constantly shifting beneath their feet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we connect this to the bigger picture, a smarter generative AI strategy isn't a static document you create once and put on a shelf. It has to be viewed as a dynamic blueprint. It's a plan for building an ongoing organizational capability, a combination of tech, talent, process, culture that can adapt to and actually capitalize on AI's rapid evolution. The foundational work you do today, those are the essential building blocks for harnessing tomorrow's more advanced AI.
So to plan for the future, we first need to understand how AI itself is evolving.
Right.
What are the key distinctions we need to grasp?
Yes, understanding the trajectory is crucial. It starts with reinforcing the difference we touched on earlier. Traditional versus generative AI. Remember, traditional AI is mostly analytical and predictive classifying spam, forecasting sales based on past data. Generative AI is creative, generating entirely new content like text, images, code based on patterns it learned.
Okay, analyze versus create. What's the next big leap people are talking about?
The next major leap, the sources suggest, is the distinction between generative versus agentic AI. This is a really important one. As we said, generative AI is fundamentally reactive. It responds to a specific prompt or instruction you give it. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is designed to be proactive and autonomous.
Autonomous, like it acts on its own.
To a degree, yes. An AI agent is conceived as a system that can pursue complex, multi-step goals with limited human supervision. It needs capabilities to perceive its environment, digital or even physical, to reason and plan, to take actions, and importantly, to learn from the outcomes of those actions.
Can you give that supply chain example again, just to make it concrete?
Sure, a generative AI chatbot might answer a question about the supply chain status based on data you feed it. An agentic AI system might be tasked with the high-level goal of maintain optimal inventory levels for product X. It would then autonomously monitor sales data, predict demand, check supplier availability, negotiate pricing within set parameters, place orders, track shipments, and adjust its strategy based on real-time events like shipping delays or sudden demand spikes, all without needing constant human commands for each step.
Wow, that really is a shift from AI. It's just a tool we use to...
View AI as an autonomous collaborator, as one source put it. It's a significant paradigm shift we're heading toward.
Okay, that's a major trend.
Yeah.
What else is shaping the future that we should be aware of now?
Two other powerful trends stand out. One is the continued rise of multimodal AI.
Multimodal, meaning models that handle more than just text.
Exactly. Models that can seamlessly understand, process, and generate content across different types of data, text, images, audio, video, maybe even sensor data. This unlocks much richer, more human-like interactions and applications.
Like your factory example.
Right. A multimodal AI analyzing live video from a factory floor, seeing a potential safety hazard, like a spill, understanding the risk, and then generating a spoken word audio alert to nearby workers through speakers. It's about the unification of understanding and generation across all these different data types, enabling much more sophisticated analysis and interaction with the world.
So AI with more senses, essentially. What's the ultimate goal, the long-term trajectory?
The sources point towards something they call innovative AI, an AI, as the longer-term aspiration. While current generative AI is amazing at recombining existing patterns found in its training data, AI aims for something more profound: genuine creativity, autonomous problem formulation, and transformative innovation.
So AI that doesn't just solve problems we give it, but finds new problems, asks new questions.
That's the idea. AI that can not only answer questions but ask new ones, and not only solve problems but discover them. Think AI contributing to fundamental scientific breakthroughs or identifying entirely new market opportunities that humans hadn't even conceived of. That's the ultimate, though still distant, frontier.
Okay, agentic AI, multimodal AI, innovative AI. That's quite a future unfolding. So bringing it back to today, what does all this mean for the practical decisions organizations are making right now about their current Gen AI initiatives?
It means a forward-looking AI strategy needs to build with this evolution explicitly in mind. The foundational investments you make today in data, in platforms, in talent are absolutely crucial for your ability to adopt and leverage these more advanced forms of AI down the road. You're building the launchpad now.
Take data infrastructure, for example. How does planning for multimodal AI change what we do today?
It means the data governance frameworks and the technical infrastructure you build today, even if initially just for text-based Gen AI, must be designed with the future in mind. Multimodal AI will require organizations to manage and leverage vast, well-organized, and accessible data sets of images, videos, and audio, not just text. So a smarter organization, even now, focuses on building a flexible, scalable data lake or lakehouse architecture and a comprehensive data catalog from the outset. That creates a future-proof foundation capable of handling diverse data types as multimodal models become more prevalent. Don't just build for text if you know images and video are coming.
Okay, build flexible data foundations. What about the value AI creates? How does that evolve from generative to agentic innovative?
There's a progression there too. As we've seen, generative AI is fantastic at optimizing existing business processes, making coding faster, summarizing meetings, personalizing marketing. Huge value, but often efficiency focused. Agentic and innovative AI promise to move up the value chain to enable the creation of entirely new business processes or even entirely new business models.
Like the autonomous supply chain, or maybe AI-driven drug discovery platforms that don't just screen existing compounds, but generate novel hypotheses for new ones.
Exactly. The ultimate strategic prize, as one analysis put it, is not just incremental efficiency gains, but fundamental business model disruption, being able to create value in ways that were simply impossible before.
So here's where it gets really interesting, tying it all together. This faster, better, smarter approach we've been talking about, it isn't just about getting your first Gen AI project deployed quickly. It's much bigger.
It really is. It's about consciously building a resilient, adaptable, organizational AI engine. That engine is a combination of the technology, yes, but also the talent, the culture, the governance frameworks, the data practices, all working together. An engine that's designed to learn, to evolve, and to continuously integrate more advanced forms of intelligence as they become available.
So the organizations that really win in the long run will be the ones who see today's generative AI initiatives not as the final goal.
But as the first critical step on a longer and more transformative journey, they're building the capability to ride the wave, not just stand on the shore.
Wow, what a deep dive that was. We've really covered the waterfront. From the absolute strategic imperative of aligning generative AI with clear business objectives.
Through the truly astonishing breadth of its real-world applications and impacts already being felt.
Past those critical decisions around implementation pathways, build, buy, integrate.
And deep into that vital human element, the change management, the adoption challenges, the critical need for AI literacy across the workforce.
We also explored how to actually measure the value AI brings beyond just simple ROI and the necessity of building that foundation of trust through robust, thoughtful governance.
And all while keeping a firm eye on the horizon, the exciting and perhaps slightly daunting frontier of agentic and innovative AI that's coming.
It really drives home that successful generative AI implementation isn't just about installing some cool new software.
Not at all. It's about executing a holistic, strategic, human-centric approach. One that positions your organization not just to capture today's advantages, but to be ready and able to seize tomorrow's truly transformative possibilities. So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening as you reflect on this deep dive. If AI, as we discussed, is genuinely moving towards asking new questions and discovering new problems on its own, how is your organization's current approach to data, to strategy, to critical thinking preparing you? Are you getting ready not just to answer the questions AI poses, but eventually to pose the most valuable questions for AI to explore in the future?
A truly provocative thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and stay well informed.